I would say to teachers is teaching is relational, not transactional. If you focus on a student, literally teaching them and meeting them where they are, the data will come.
3, 2, 1, let's go!
Our guest today is an exceptional educator whose passion for teaching and learning goes far beyond the classroom. With over a decade of experience at Friendship Schools, she serves as an instructional specialist, an AI enthusiast and mentor, an English language arts curriculum innovator, and mentor to students and educators alike. Born in Paris, France, and of Ghanaian heritage, she brings a unique global perspective to teaching. A Friendship Teacher of the Year honoree, CEO Choice Award winner, Empower Ed Fellow, and a proud member of NATE's cohort at Yale University. She exemplifies excellence in education in the highest form. Welcome, Yvonne Tackie.
Thank you.
So you know you're one of my favorites.
Yes, and you are one of my favorites as well, and everyone knows that.
Let me tell you, I love you because your passion and your sincerity radiates everywhere you go. It's not just about the outcomes that you produce. It's really about the people that you touch. I remember about 2 years ago when we were looking at the academic outcomes for Friendship students post-pandemic. And it was a nail biter. We were all thinking, oh my goodness, what is this going to look like? We knew that the team had invested the work. We knew that the students had invested the work and the parents had invested the work. But you never know until you actually get those numbers.
Right.
And Friendship was ahead of the pack. I mean, you truly led the city, not just in growth, but in proficiency and student achievement and college readiness. And so I simply wanted to understand how you do it. I'd like for you to start off by telling me about your why.
Okay.
Why do you do this work? And what do you think makes the difference? What don't we see behind the numbers that generate such amazing student outcomes?
Thank you for that. I think my why is mainly how I became a teacher. I came to the United States at 9 from Ghana, and I had a really great teacher, Mrs. Olson. And I was pretty much one out of 2 Black children in the classroom. But she made me feel welcome. She built a relationship with me. She made the class instruction based on like where I came from. She asked me to show the students where Ghana was located on the map. We talked about what Ghana has. She literally highlighted like the Gold Coast of Ghana, and I was like, yeah, that's what we're known as. So she basically built a strong relationship with me, and what ended up happening was I wanted to please her. And so I found the joy of learning and going to school and not missing any days because she literally empowered me. And similarly, when I got older, I was like, I want to be a teacher just like Miss Olson, because it was a huge transition for me, and I was not ready to be in the United States with an accent and not having friends and just feeling awkward. But my teacher empowered me. And again, she didn't look like me. So I said, you know what? I want to be just like her and be who I needed when I was younger. And that is my why. I started in 2013. I left Prince George's County and one of my friends worked here. And she asked me to join Friendship, and I applied. And then when I came for the interview, I was told, oh my God, don't go to Blopeter, it's just so bad. And I was like, why would you say that? And they were like, it's just so bad. And I was like, that's exactly where I wanted to go. And then I met Dr. Grant and Mr. Snowdy, who is now my principal, and they hired me literally right after I did my lesson, my model lesson.
So I like that you said, someone said, don't go there. But there was something in you and said, that's exactly where
Yes.
I'm meant to be, and I'm meant to teach those children. Tell me what it means to transform preconceived notions around certain students and public education. And I say this because even though our city is changing, the demographics of our awards are changing. Even now, the majority of students who attend public schools in the District of Columbia are still Black and brown students.
Yes.
And they're the students that are frankly depending on us to give our absolute very best. So tell me what it means to see the best in a student and translate and extend that belief to students?
We have to empower our students, just like my teacher did with me. We never know the strengths that our students have. And so you literally have to get to know them. I'm a parent, so imagining that these are all my kids, what would I do to support them? And that is how I approach teaching. And so in learning my students, I learn they have to trust me. We have lunch together. I am a disciplinarian. I am an encourager. I am their biggest cheerleader. But I'm literally taking on the role as a parental teacher. And what happens is, as a parental teacher, these are my kids. So they know where my heart is, and kids can sense it. They know where my heart is. I'm consistent with structure when it comes to this is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it. Let me guide you. Now do it by yourself. Once that relationship is set, now I can teach you how to learn. I can mold you. And that is pretty much how I approach teaching. Literally thinking about this holistic child and making sure that I'm a parental teacher.
And so you were part of that initial foundational team that set that school on the path of excellence that it is firmly on today. So what does it mean to see a student who comes into your classroom? They're at a certain grade level. Let's say they're in second grade or they're in third grade, but they're coming to you at sometimes a first or second grade level in your subject, which is English language arts. And you grow them to really be at grade level proficiency. What does it take to do that?
I am so glad you asked that, because I can give you one better. I had an 8th grade student who was reading on a second grade level, and this was prior to him having me. The first thing I had to recognize was his insecurities, right? He was older, but yet he couldn't function on the older level. So I had to really have time with him, spend time with him during lunch, after school. I called it detention, but it really wasn't detention. They just sat and did their homework, and then I supported them, right? What I did was I really worked on his strengths, and he was already a leader in the class. He was big in stature, but he was a leader. The kids liked him. So then I reminded him of his strengths, and I said, well, you know what? When I was younger, I had difficulties too. So normalizing challenges. I normalized the challenge, and what I did was I just met him where he was, exposed him to grade level text, even though he was on a second grade reading level. He had an IEP, gave him all his accommodations, and just modeled how he is able to attack a text that is on his grade level, but using all of the differentiated accommodations that he had. Once that happened, he felt empowered. He started participating in class. I gave him homework. He attempted to do it. A parent came and was really upset with me, like, why would you give my son homework when you know he can't read? He was standing next to me and he was tearful. And I said, it's okay. I said, he actually can read. And he's been reading for me, and he will tell you that. She was like, well, he don't read. I said, but he's doing really well. And I just want you to we are partners, continue to work with him. And I'll be working with him at school as well. So even though she cursed me out, she understood, like, I am here for the betterment of your son. And I'm not even judging him. Long story short, he is amazing. He grew based on his level. And then now, when I was at Southeast, he reads for other students. And he was in high school. And so that is how, you really have to empower our students, because you have to remind them of their strengths. Everyone has strengths. I am not a great dancer, but I know how to attack a standard, so it's like everyone has strengths, and that is what teachers really need to focus on.
Is that more commonplace than we would know?
Absolutely. I think that I always make this analogy, like the people who were in wars rarely get to write books because they were in the war. But the people who weren't in the war are able to write the books. So a lot of teachers do this from the heart. We call it heart work. And you're not really thinking about pretty much documenting what's happening. You're just in real time existing and making sure you're creating changes. So I strongly believe, especially here at Friendship, we have a lot of great teachers that do the hard work that you don't see.
I don't even know if truly tenacious teachers realize
That they are.
how powerful and tenacious they are, and how impactful their stories can be, and informative and motivating and inspiring they can be to others. So I appreciate that story. So, We asked you to come on the podcast to talk about AI, but I couldn't let this moment pass without really digging into your why, because you are such an impactful person and such an impactful teacher. So you're using AI. How does this new technology fit into the priority of growing academic strength and growing academic mastery and competency? How do you use it to make it work?
AI has been revolutionary for all educators. And I really want to give a special shout out to Dr. Ivy and Miss Kimberly Campbell, because I was taking AI classes. They were free, and I wanted to know more about it. And this was my challenge for me, like, let's see what this is really about. And what it really encompasses is giving teachers their time back. So during my Jurassic years when I was a teacher, we had to we went to school to be teachers, so we learned the pedagogy behind the content. Now, we don't have a lot of teachers who went to teacher colleges. We have people who are transitioning into teaching based on their why. And so the AI literally makes it so much easier to create lessons, scaffold for students, accommodate them, create exit tickets within seconds. And what the teacher then has to do is really study what they need to do in order to implement the lesson. And so AI has been able to support with creating assessments, creating PARC stems or CAPE stems.
Explain to us what that is.
Yes. So creating a CAPE question stem is literally using, for example, a standard, and then it creates a question that will be aligned to the question students might see on an assessment. And what it does is, it's not teaching to the test, it's literally using what the kids are doing today and creating questions that they will have to answer so they can learn the structure of how to respond to an open-ended question. And I love that because it makes it not only relevant, but culturally relevant. Magic School AI will create a question based on where your students are located. Meaning I can type in Ward 8 students and create a main idea about a mural. And what it would do is it will create a question that is aligned to CAPE about a mural that is located in Ward 8. So students don't have to go anywhere but in their neighborhood to find inspiration to respond to the prompt. Now that is the revolution.
And that's interesting because you hear a lot of critics around AI that say it's culturally insensitive.
Yes.
And it's got these built-in biases,
Yes.
right? But you're saying that's not the case with Magic School, with the tools that you're using now.
No, Friendship really incorporated Magic School and Conmigo, and we actually piloted it to make sure that it is relevant for our math teachers and our ELA teachers. One of the feedbacks we got on Insight last year was the teachers were tired, because if you are any ELA teacher, we have essays to grade. Imagine having 66 students or more, 70, 80 students, and you have essays, and we really go hard with our essays, and we're actually really analytical in looking at the rubric, reading essays sometimes for nights on end to figure out if the student really met the criteria of success. Now, this past interim, the feedback from teachers was great. They were so happy because not only did they get their time back, they were able to upload rubrics in the AI. And what it did was it didn't grade it for them, but it told them where the students had their strengths on the rubric and where they had their deficits. So it made it easier to grade. And so that is what's happening with AI. Very strategic and intentional.
So what do you see as the next phase of your work? You've got teachers now are they in the pilot phase or they're full implementation phase?
They're in the full implementation. We piloted at Standard University. And then that was our phase 1 teacher exposure, making sure that teachers are able to use it so they wouldn't be burned out. Because we want to keep, teacher retention is major.
Absolutely.
So we want to keep teachers retained, we want to support them, and we want to provide things that are useful for them. And that the second phase will be student facing. But right now we have student facing for Conmigo in the high school. And that is the next phase, to be able to have something where students are really being supported by the bots on the AI. And let me explain what that looks like. For math, Conmigo is easy because everyone knows Khan Academy. Conmigo is for the high school students because they can incorporate their classwork and it guides them on what it is. And teachers also can grade That's the math area. For the ELA teachers, what I'm working on right now is making sure that if I am writing a topic statement and I'm in class, the teacher models, okay, we're going to write a topic statement. Write a topic statement about whatever the subject is. The student writes it. Now use the AI to try to strengthen it. So the students all use AI to strengthen it. Now let's do a remix topic statement. You have to choose your original thoughts and then enhance it with what AI taught you and then create it. What we are doing is very intentional, but the students have no idea. We're teaching them how to create topic statements and essays with the AI support, because what happens is we're going to take it away the next week. And guess what? You automatically now remember all the different components the AI taught you to incorporate in your topic statement. This is what the next phase will look like for ELA.
So that goes to the heart of a real concern, right? The risk, right? You know, is AI doing the work for students, or will AI do the work for students, right? You know, are you cheating with AI? It's almost as if AI is this really proficient teaching assistant. You've got your primary teacher at the front of the class, and then he or she is leveraging AI to help students kind of move to that next step. Would that be correct?
That is correct until you think about the fact that the AI is not really helping the teachers, helping the student. It's guiding the student, and what happens on standardized assessments or any of our assessments, they can't use AI. But because the students are the 21st century learners, they're super innovative, what they're doing is, because everything is fast for them, AI is supporting them in what they need. When you take the AI away, guess what? They recall every single thing that AI told them to do. This is the age of innovation. So the AI is actually forcing the students to remember, because once you take it away, they know what to do.
What would you tell them to ease their fears and encourage them to embrace this new technology?
What I would tell teachers is, one, your feelings are very valid. Like we see and we understand why. There's a misconception, but give it a chance. When I did Standards University, all the teachers were like, we gave an icebreaker about how they felt. The first words and pictures that they can think about AI. And a lot of them were very upset. They hated AI, they didn't trust AI. And then at the end of my session, the feedback, I cannot believe that this is going to help me. I thought AI was going to do something different, and it's not. It's actually supporting me in my practice, and I cannot wait to implement it. And that was in the beginning. And so now, fast forward to November, the teachers, I'm getting emails from not only teachers, all stakeholders in the school setting that are working with the AI to give them their time back and support them in their practice.
I can only imagine if you've got just hundreds of students that you're committed to servicing, and you've got to comb through all of that, and AI cuts that in half.
Yes. And we actually we are monitoring the usage and aligning it with student data.
Okay.
And teacher data.
So you've told me what works.
Yes.
What surprised you?
What has surprised me is the amount of educators who are now intentionally using AI, the Magic School AI, because initially they were so against it. But like everything else, we as teachers needed to be shown how to successfully implement it or use it to support what we do. And so just like with the World Wide Web, everyone was against it, but think about the innovation that we have with the web right now. Although libraries are no longer a thing, but they are a thing, the students are able to go on the internet and do research. But we had to teach them about reliable sources versus unreliable sources. Similarly, AI is just like that. So every time I see someone, the first thing they say to me is, Tackie, I used AI and it helped me, and I didn't have to waste so much time. And I'm like, I'm so glad. Please let me know how student data is, because that's always what I care about, student achievement. Are you seeing growth? Is it cutting back on your time? Are you taking care of yourself so you can be there for the kids? Because that's what's most important. But yes.
So the advent of AI and practically any other tool that's introduced at schools, ultimately the goal is to generate these outstanding academic outcomes, which we celebrate, which are highlighted in the media through these assessment scores, right? But we know that that is perhaps 1/4 of the equation.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for teachers who are seeking to replicate the same scores that you and your team at Friendship Ideal have achieved, but they're struggling, right? They're so focused on achieving these scores, but they're having a hard time getting there. What would you say to them?
The first thing I would say to teachers is teaching is relational, not transactional. If you focus on a student, literally teaching them and meeting the way they are, the data will come. But if you're super hyper focused on data, you're not highlighting what's the student's strengths. If you focus on the student, and I want this is a charge, I want teachers to do action research. And what that looks like is support the students, meet them where they are, give them everything that you can give them, because teaching, again, is relational, and watch what happens.
What do you want to do next?
What do I want to do next?
No limitations.
Oh my God, what do I want to do next? No limitations. I want to have my own girls' school. I want to be able to pour into girls the way that we have all of these male initiatives with our male students, because it was based on data, right? It was based on the boys getting locked up early, not having enough mentors. If you really look at statistics, there are more girls going into jails, going into group homes, going into detention centers now more than ever. And so my thought is, who is guiding these girls? It's not their fault, right? I want to be able to have my own girls' school where we are going back to the basics of teaching them about themselves, teaching them about empowerment, teaching them about really facts about women throughout history, so that they can understand, like, you do have a superpower, right? And now let me teach you about reading and math and social studies and science and everything else. But just making sure that they have a safe space. That is what I want.
I believe you're going to do it. I believe absolutely that you're going to make that happen. Listen, thank you for having the courage to strike out and do something different.
Thank you.
And thank you for modeling excellence.
Thank you.
In practice, in mentorship, you truly do embody the best of our educators, and we're grateful for you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I genuinely move with students in mind. When I was at Below Peers, one of my students, I was eating lunch. Him and a group of his friends walked up on me and said, "Miss Tackie, you gonna leave?" And I said, "Where am I going? Is there something, do we need to get ready to leave?" They said, "No. Is you gonna leave?" And I said, "First of all, it's not is you, it's are you?" And then they said, "Because all of our teachers leave us." And I said, "Well, I'm only leaving if you want me to leave." And of course they were like, "No, we don't want you to leave." That was the grade that I stayed with from 4th all the way to 8th grade. And when I left, they were mad because they wanted me to come to high school. And I said, "No, I told you all I was going to stay with you, and now you're leaving." And that is when I transitioned to become an instructional specialist. So whenever I make a shift, it's definitely based on student need, student want, and it fulfills me. So I want to thank you for always highlighting that, because like I said, when you're doing it, it's not really work, because it fills me up. It makes me feel good, and I love it. So thank you.